All right. Welcome to the Pave America podcast. You got Hayden Cortez, one of your hosts, Zach Milewski, and in honor of National Safety Awareness Month, we have the Senior Vice President of Compliance, Mr. Jerome Gray with Pave America. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me on today, guys.
You're welcome. Your first podcast?
First podcast, yes. It's a little daunting to know that this will be my first, so we'll see how this turns out today. Yeah. Maybe I'll do another one.
And we gave him the nice surprise that it's going to be just one take. We're not going to cut and paste it, no editing. So got to make sure your answers are correct. So
feels like I'm on a jury trial right now. Got to think about the question, prepare my answer, and be exact.
You might be. We'll see. Zach and I got some good questions.
Good deal.
They're pretty easy.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what your role is with Pave America. But even before that, let's back up. How did you get to where you're at today? What's your career path look like?
Wow. The career path. So, guys, it started for me back when I was 16. My dad was in construction. So, of course, he needed a free helper. Here I am. And Free. Okay. Payment included breakfast and lunch. And then, as he liked to tell me, your car you don't have to pay for and your room and board is included. So I had to work it off. So I started in construction, worked my way through and used construction all the way through high school and into college to Ford College. Went to work for one of the big box home improvement stores, running their back end. Started off in returning stuff to manufacturers and then started running the back end deliveries and stocking the place and bringing in all the incoming shipments. From there, one day, I graduated from college and I had a degree in business administration, focused in accounting. I know you guys can't imagine me, an accountant.
Yeah.
Tried it out and was miserable. So I went back into the construction world, got hired or recruited to run a building supply in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Did that for a couple of years and departed there and went into being a vice president of a construction company. And we were building townhomes, strip malls, communities, and really loved it. But the market started tanking. And from there, I had my own company for a while, and I moved to Northern Virginia to build high-rises. I started doing vertical steel and concrete buildings, large developments, and I was with that company for 17 years. Had a just phenomenal time. A lot of great projects. Worked on for those for Northern Virginia, recognize the Silver Line extension came to Reston, Virginia. Was there when we dug the garage. 8 stories deep. FedEx field goes down on every floor twice, if not 3 times. 4,000 parking spaces below grade. But then kind of got tired of construction. And I left and decided to go out on my own and ended up, of all things, moving into IT. IT was fun. We survived COVID. It was one of the few industries like the paving industry that was considered essential. Yep. We doubled in our size over the COVID period, trying to get everybody working from home. And that time I met Brothers Paving. They needed an IT provider and company, and I started working for them. And Paul Batista came in one day and he goes, "What will it take to make you my COO?" And I was like, wow, okay. We went back and forth, and next thing you know, I'm there. And from that point, the journey began. We started going national, came over as the COO for Brothers National, ran them up until 2023 when Brothers National and Pavement Partners joined, and rode on as COO for another year or so. And really excited when John Strinkowski came on board, and I got to step away from all the COO nightmares and just really focus on the compliance of the company. And that's where I've been at for the last, since January of 24.
Wow. So you went from construction to, sounds like almost logistics, I guess, a little bit, accounting, back to construction, to IT, back to construction.
And in the midst of all that, they had some fun stuff. Was a paramedic for 13 years. Did that as a volunteer. So that really helped me with that response mode. And it's been a whirlwind of a career, and never once would have thought my young 16-year-old self that I would be sitting where I am today.
Man, look at all those cool experiences. Just, I'm sure everything's probably helped mold to where you're at today, and having everything, even just the young childhood experiences up to how you kind of moved through like the accounting portion of everything just probably has really rounded you out on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, it probably has.
Yeah, the accounting today, more than anything, as large of a platform we are, understanding that financial statements and how all those levers are pulled and what they'll do. Accounting has served me well.
Sure.
I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad it led me to where I am today.
Yeah, amen. So, and you've been part of the platform from the very beginning.
I'm one of the last few OGs.
Yeah, one of the OGs. So, from your lens, what has it been like in your seat seeing where you guys were from the original merger to where we're at today?
Wow, we knew we were going to get larger. We knew we had the potential, but with the new leadership and all the different people we've brought into the platform, actually seeing it come about has really just been phenomenal to watch. And then actually the new companies that we've acquired along this path, those personalities, and a lot of it's just where they are in the United States, the demographics of the company now. Mm-hmm. Just from a geographical footprint, things are done so much differently across the country, from the environmental changes to the economical impacts in those areas. It's really been interesting to watch how we've been able to take the best from around the country and go back and make everyone that much better.
Yeah. It's almost like having a nice car and having a Bentley and putting spinners on it.
Yeah.
Making it look a little bit better, run a little bit faster.
I'm not sure the Bentley crowd will think that's that much better. But yeah, it's taking all those neat things. I mean, when we joined up with National Payment Partners, things that you guys did has impacted the rest of the platform. So, and we're seeing that now more than ever as we are growing. We've got to get the best of the best and share it with everybody else.
Yep. And that's we talk about that all the time, is just being part of such a elite group of companies and partners with us that, I mean, we're just fortunate just to learn from some of the other guys and from the C-suite team that has wealth and knowledge of stuff that, frankly.
It's definitely one of our favorite pieces for sure.
Yeah.
Are the people.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about compliance, now we're at almost 40 offices,
Yep.
30-something companies. I
Yep.
don't even know the exact number right now, and growing. From a compliance standpoint, I know this is a long-winded answer, but what is the probably major challenges that you have to overcome to getting us all corralled? Yeah. Great.
The corralling is probably the funner part of it.
Okay.
The big challenge we have with compliance is that now that we're so diversified geographically, and in a lot of the states they have their own safety organizations. Not everybody is strictly underneath the federal standards. Like Virginia, they have OSHA, so it's OSHA plus Virginia standards, and so you have to comply with that. DOT. As the fleet gets larger, DOT standards kind of change a little bit. And we have bigger crosshairs on us because we are becoming a larger footprint. The big thing about getting everyone is a lot of the things that we do from a compliance point of view or safety point of view is a lot of times above and beyond the basic standard. And a lot of it is from us looking at historical injuries and just looking at how important is this asset that we have known as our employees. They're the only asset we have that shows up as a expense in our P&L, but they're our largest asset, and we have to do everything we can to protect it because they are one asset that's not easily replaced.
Right.
Unlike a piece of equipment, I can replace it in a few days. Employees, we've got so much time and invested into them. We've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to take care of them. And a lot of times our former presidents, they haven't had any issues, so it's really getting them to understand the why. Why are we doing this? Because they've not had a problem doesn't mean the problem's not there.
Yeah.
We're trying to head it off at the pass before it does come around.
Sure, that makes sense.
being proactive about it. It's not sometimes it's almost not it's a win.
Yeah.
Because you never know what can happen. And there's so many variables in this business that in a blink of an eye, everything can be running smoothly, asphalt showing up on time, trucks are running good, and then a major problem happens from not paying attention. And we hear about construction accidents all the time. Hence why we're wearing our PPE for you. So
I was going to say, you guys look really sharp today. Nice looking vests, nice class 3s, nice helmets. I like it.
Yep.
The safety glasses, I can see myself in them. They've been kept up and clean. So nicely done today, gentlemen.
They are shined up. Yeah. You can see. You can
Might
tell.
be missing the steel toe, but that's
We won't ask you to stand up and let's do a 360 review.
Yeah.
But we'll take you that you're ready for the office.
Well, we appreciate it. Yeah. Never, like we said, in case a ceiling tile falls or something, you never know what can happen. So
I love it.
Going back to like safety, this is obviously a super important month, and we hear a lot of the sad stories and accidents that happen across the country. What kind of initiative and focus does Pave America have on the safety of our employees?
The focus we have is daily reminders. Every day, every crew needs to be looking at where they're working. We're one of the few unique industries that our work environment changes almost every day. Mm-hmm. We don't really go back to the same location day after day, unlike, say, a manufacturing facility. Everything's kind of the same. As to our guys, they may be using the same pieces of equipment, but they're in a different environment. Today, there may be overhead threats. Yesterday, there was underground threats. Tomorrow, there's roadway threats because now they're working beside the road. So our guys, we're really focusing on what's your work environment and taking all the training we've given you and how do you adapt it to be ready for that ever-changing market that we go to every day.
And it happens almost daily, sometimes a couple different markets or a couple different environments in a day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's probably our big drawing to everyone is we're so versatile as a platform that we can go from environment to environment in a single day and not miss a step.
Yeah.
And that's a key point to our training and to our employees. And really, a lot of folks that get forgotten are our foremans. Our foremans being able to take that step back, look around, identify the threats, convey those things to their team, and still get the job done.
Yeah. And there's a lot more pressure that is put on the foremans and the superintendents and the project managers within the whole platform because, you got to be on your toes at all times. You got to be constantly problem solving, be able to identify stuff quickly. And I'll also say too, there's a lot of threats as well that we can't see until we start removing it. No matter how many locates we get and stuff like that, you still never know how shallow something is, how deep it is. And
I mean, we just had one. We had an underground strike. They had done the missed utilities. The surveys were done, and they hit a wire. Now, fortunately, the wire was dead. It wasn't a live wire, but it was an abandoned one. But that thing came wrapping around the milling machine, and fortunately, the mill operator knew the moment he hit the kill button, brought that machine to a dead stop. The ground guys got out of the way. So we even train for when something does happen, what do we do?
Yep.
And how do we protect ourselves in that moment?
Yeah. So, and then going to like the compliance aspect, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? Mm-hmm. Because you got the reporting, the OSHA 300 reporting. I'm sure there's plenty of other reports. I think there was another one you're talking about for the state of California.
Yep.
Like, how hard is it to keep track of all the data that you have to report for a company our size?
So we've been fortunate. We've brought in some really strong consultants to help us out. We have a consolidation platform called the SMS where everything goes into it and is a repository, so then we can pull out what we need when we need for what report. Everything from our near misses to good catches to, unfortunately, an OSHA 300 report. But even beyond those reports, those are really trailing indicators. They're not really what's going on today.
Sure.
As both of you are aware, Pave America came out with a past scorecard, which is our real-time scorecard of how are we doing today. Mm-hmm. And with that, we've seen a huge, huge swing in the company's safety standards. We've seen as our scores gone up, our incidents have gone down. Our numbers of incidents gone down, and when we do have one, it's much more severe, which, to your point, Hayden, it's those unknown circumstances that jump up and get us.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've avoided so many others really is an indicator that we're watching that scorecard. And you guys have been there as we've talked about those. And we're talking about everything from our incidents to our driving to our driver compliance. Do we have qualified people? I think really that past scorecard has been probably one of our greatest initiatives so far to really focus in on the day-to-day safety.
I would agree. I think you don't know what you don't know. And so in the past, it's no news is good news, but not necessarily if you're not involved in understanding what's grading us on those aspects. And so as we've gotten them, like, it's been motivating for us to see how our score has evolved and gotten better over time. And even for us who we thought, we were doing pretty good to start, we've been able to improve on things. And so it's been a really good thing, I think, for us. One of the better things that we've been able to build
implement.
on.
Yeah. I know our safety team was not happy we didn't get an award this year, so we're coming for it. So,
and we love that they're coming for that. And I think that was probably the hardest thing for my team when we did the safety awards. There have been so much great things done throughout the year. You really wanted to recognize everybody for the greatness that they had done, but it was difficult in making those decisions. The one thing that we're noticing more than anything else is that with safety, it's you got to think about it every day.
Yeah.
It's just not a one and done. We did our toolbox this month, we're good.
Yep.
It's a every day, every hour. And as I remind the workforce when I'm out there doing visits, everyone's responsible for safety, not just the president or the safety director or the foreman. Every person on that crew is responsible for the safety of the team.
Yep. And I think it's the hardest times and the most vulnerable that our crews are is when we're getting later in the week and they're 40,
tired.
50 hours all the way into the week, and maybe they got another 20 to go. You never know. But that is when we are most susceptible to accidents, injuries, incidents, whatever could happen. So nothing makes me happier than when I'm on the phone with the superintendent and I hear him just whistle to stop a truck that almost backed into a piece of equipment or something like that, because that shows that they're constantly paying attention to what could happen.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about some of the things, especially safety-wise, that maybe people don't understand as a hazard, that it might be like an underlying hazard that's not really common knowledge. So for me, what I learned pretty recently, I would say over the past 2 to 3 years, was just the silica dust from saw cutting. Horrible for you.
Silica is the new asbestos. Silica is in the asphalt. It's in the concrete. And the unfortunate part with silica, it can be inhaled because it's so microfiber small, and there's no way to get it out of your lungs. And it drops in, it sits, and it builds up. And as it builds up, it reduces your lung capacity. So in our industry, you guys know we're milling up asphalt every day. Mm-hmm. We're saw cutting concrete every day. We're grinding concrete from time to time. So in order to keep our guys and ladies on our crews in the best of health, we want to use engineering controls. We don't like wearing respirator masks. Yeah, they protect our folks, but they don't protect the public around us. So that's why we've really gone in heavy on our engineering controls. Water is our friend. Mm-hmm. Putting water down, if you see no dust, no silica. It's just kept down flat.
Yep.
It goes into dump trucks. It goes off, and we're done with it. So really, silica is our big thing. We had a project that they were saw cutting, and the president rolled up on it. He stopped everybody dead in their tracks. Where's your water? And it made me so happy to hear that it was that important to him. We're not doing this. But what we find is the biggest concern with silica, I just got to make a 3-inch cut. I just got to cut 1 foot of sidewalk.
Yep.
I don't want to get the water tank, bring it over, pump it up, connect it to my saw to make my cut. I'll just put my bandana over my face. Well, it's not just you. It's your neighbor. It's the people in the community. So we've really been focusing on those engineering controls, even in our design of our equipment. You guys may not have noticed, but all the new attachments coming out that could generate silica have water suppression on them now.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, that's Pave America's investment, not just to our workforce, but for the communities in which we work. We want to protect them just as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really important standard to have. I think that's a differentiator for sure.
And we want to set the standard.
Yeah.
We want to be the premier. So we're going to lead out on some stuff that all that OSHA and the environmental controls say is we need to keep it under control. And they give us just a plethora of ways to do it. We want the very best for us and the communities in which we work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then going to like a lot of the programs that we use internally to track safety, to track compliance, track fleets, what would you say, how much of your time do you spend looking at the data that's coming from the programs like a Samsara or Limbo or DataSense through JJ Keller? Like, how much time do you spend?
I probably spend 4 to 5 hours a week with data. I've got a team below me that's in that data daily and looking for trends. We do quarterly reviews and analysis of it. I review all the past scorecards before they go out every month to look for trends and stuff that jumps out to me just because I don't deal with it every day. That sometimes gets overlooked and I see little minor moves. So we spend a lot of time in the data, and that way we can get ahead of a incident before it occurs.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times the infraction or warning gets pulled from like Samsara or Limbo, and then it's flagging to where it needs to go anyways too. So probably helps like bring rise the cream to the top. And
we've automated a lot of it too, because a lot of things were there but nobody knew about it. Using Samsara for example, we have a standard that we don't speed, and so we have a max speed alert. Well, before it was there, but it really didn't go anywhere. Well, now we've got it going places. We've got it going to safety managers and to presidents. Just me coming here for our meeting today, get a call from president. I don't recognize this truck. It's doing 84 miles an hour. It says it's mine, but I don't have a driver for this truck. It was a brand new truck. It was on a transporter. It wasn't even us moving it. It was sitting on a transport truck. But it was really refreshing for me that a president's so concerned. I can't figure this out. Help me now. I want to stop this now. That is what I see as the big thing for Pave America. We've become so focused on safety. We're not going to let a thing go by that we don't address.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening too, because safety can easily, especially in construction, candidly be put on the back burner. And I think Zach and I definitely appreciate the perspective that you bring, because although yes, we got to be safe, we got to follow safety and compliance boundaries and guidelines, you also understand the challenges of just doing the work every single day, kind of like what we talked about, the variables. So like your experience in construction has easily translated to giving you a little bit more perspective from when we are trying to enforce objectives and stuff like that. So we're grateful for that.
I've tried to share with everybody, we don't need police officers in our safety program. We just don't. And I do bring a unique perspective. Coming up through construction, I've been all the way down with a guy digging the ditch and sitting in the office in the air conditioning. So I understand the dynamics, and I understand there's a job we have to do. And a lot of my job is, how do I mitigate the risk? How do I keep the exposure down as much as I possibly can? There are some exposures that we will not take a chance with. And there are some exposures that are just part of being in construction.
Yep.
We're working with hot asphalt. It comes out of the trucks at over 250 degrees. There's always a chance of getting burned.
Yep.
But it's, what do we do? How do we mitigate that? How do we keep the folks out of the dump zone? How do we tell them don't stick your hand down on the asphalt as it comes out of the back of the screed? We train about that. We won't ever not have an accident, but if we can prevent 100 and take it from 100 to 0.1, we're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and you've got such a good passion for it. Every time you've spoke about it, even when you've come out and talked with our team locally here, I think you do a really good job. Number one, you say it in Spanish as well too.
That helps tremendously.
Pretty crazy.
Yes.
So, but number two, there's just a lot of passion there for it. You understand what needs to be done, and then at the same time, we're talking, in a way that these guys understand, that you understand what's happening out there too. It takes it less from policing and more relatable, and really just getting everybody back home safely at the end of the day.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing for us.
I think I was with one location and they were really struggling with hard hats. Hard hats is a unique thing in our industry. You could argue it either way, but I tell everybody you only have one head. Yeah. And there is always an overhead threat. Our miller operators, who are probably the highest off of the work surface of any of our guys and ladies, can get hit by a tree branch.
Yeah.
And that actually happened. We had a tree branch get caught by the boom. Miller operator didn't see it, and it come loose and just barely missed him. Okay, I understand why I need my hard hat.
Yep.
But trying to share with them, this is the why. Why do I want you to do this? And what I really found in getting adoption is when the men and women of the company understand why we're doing it, they're much more willing to adopt it than just me saying, you will do this or you won't be here.
Yep.
The why gives it purpose.
Yes.
Yep.
It gives it meaning.
It does. It really does.
I mean, and that goes for even safety and compliance stuff. It goes for technology, adoption. I mean, it translates across the board. That's like a leadership 101 thing right there.
Yeah.
Is relating the why, because it comes off a lot better and gives your perspective to the employees. So,
it was interesting when we were talking about speeding and we turned on all those Samsara controls to alert us about speeding. I had someone kind of argue with me, and I was able to go back to my years in EMS. What most folks don't realize, EMS units, we really don't speed anymore. If I had transport times of 45 minutes, me going 10 over the limit only got me to the hospital 2 minutes quicker. 2 minutes. And as I learned as a paramedic, I can do everything that emergency room can do. So why am I putting us in risk of getting in a wreck? And, as we've seen, a lot of our equipment goes up and down the road, 80,000 pounds. That's a lot of movement to not have under control. And so I think with all the technology we've put in place and all the controls we've put in, the biggest control we've done is elevate the employees to be able to say, I don't think this is safe, and here's why.
yeah.
And I have yet to meet any of our leadership that when an employee comes in with a concern and shares, this is why I don't think it's safe, has not taken it seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
I agree. You kind of have your hand a little bit, I don't know how much now these days, in kind of the equipment and fleet side to a degree. Share some interesting kind of stats just to show the volume of that. Because even, talking about our CapEx spend last year as a platform to, I couldn't even tell you how many trucks that are out there and rolling.
CapEx,
Well, I can tell you.
insurance, just everything that ties up to it.
So from a CapEx point of view, the fleet's currently around 1,700 vehicles running up and down the road every day. We have, last time I looked, over 175 pavers running on a daily basis, 120 milling machines running every day. I lost track of the rollers and skid steers.
Yeah.
It was in the 300 to 400 range. With all of that, all these assets, we rotate on average every 7 years. So we're spending somewhere between 40 and 45 million a year this year to maintain the equipment. As we've learned from a CapEx point of view, well-maintained fleet, less accidents, well-maintained fleet, less breakdowns, less time that we're not working. And so having the right equipment for the right job. I mean, Zach, you reached out to us. You needed a special truck to do a slurry type mix in the new locations.
Yep.
we built that truck.
Yes, we did.
We want the right piece of equipment to do the right job. We don't want to try to figure it out with something that's not built to do it.
Yep.
And with buying all this equipment, insurance. We just renewed our insurance back in March. You've got the industry increase, but our insurance to renew for the whole platform is a little over $17 million. And it's a lot, but it's to having the right pieces of insurance for the right jobs, for the right people. We'll spend it every day.
It all plays into the bigger part of running just even a paving business. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And I don't even mean paving specifically. That's just one of the services that we provide throughout the platform. There's guys doing all kinds of different stuff, from cement treating, obviously the standard crack fill seal coat, like highly specialized pieces of equipment that all take, different kinds of fluids. I mean, hats off to our shop teams that are across the country. I mean, even our shop fleet manager, Manny, here, I mean, he speaks pretty much Chinese to me about what's going on with some of these pieces of equipment. But
right.
I mean, his wealth of knowledge and the specialty that he has for understanding this kind of equipment, because you can't just bring a standard mechanic off the street to come into this industry. So it's got to be kind of industry experienced guys that know how to work with all the different types of machines. So, like with that, getting them a historically anti-technology trade or skill set to be technology compliant, what has that been like for you guys?
We started off, if you ask, and I asked you guys when we first met, do you know how much you spend in your shop? You really didn't have a clue.
Yeah. Just a wild guess.
It was a wild guess, and every location was that way. And our big solution to that was we brought Limble in, and it became our shop management tool. And with that meant all of these mechanics now had to step into the technology world. I mean, they were doing a little bit with some computer diagnostics on some of the fleet, but we were getting ready to elevate them, every last one of them. And our director of shop operations, James Davis, stepped right up to the plate, and it started going around to every location. Let's bring them up. Let's invest in those mechanics and take them to the next level. And with that meant mechanics now have to have iPads or laptops. We now have to make sure we got Wi-Fi connections in the shops. We now got to make sure they all have a license to operate the software. And what we saw real quickly was the moment we started with just Limble, their desire, their wanting to have more grew. Train me, teach me how to run the diagnostic software to go diagnose these machines. Our milling machines have onboard computers now. They're no longer levers and cables. They want to, how do I fix this thing? How do I not just throw parts at it?
Yep.
And just know I need to replace this device on this machine at this point. And so that was a big compliance thing. Well, now they got to be compliant. They got to be well trained. We have to send them off every 2 years to be updated. So now we're investing in our employees even more, not just from hardware, but from training and education. It makes them a more compliant group.
Yeah.
I mean, when we have properly trained mechanics who can work on our air brakes because they've been Bendix certified, well, now they're compliant. The DOT doesn't say anything when they look at our shop maintenance records. Oh, John, I see his Bendix certification. It's been renewed. Great job, guys. Job well done. That's what it means, not just from the day-to-day operations, even there in the shops, even when we're dealing with our office teams. Do we have the right trained folks and they're compliant to do the jobs they're doing?
Yep. It goes back to the meaning for them and how they're, I guess, being graded, being scored. They can kind of see where everything is at. They can, see for themselves. We've got our guys pretty much, hey, we've got this many downtime or this much downtime. This is our average downtime. This is how many repairs we've made throughout the month. And it's really, really cool to see how like enthusiastic they are, and it's great information for us to have as well.
100%.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's
helps us make good decisions.
notoriously been a black hole, and I think even as a shop manager too, like if you don't have the technology, you're just essentially fixing equipment and sending it back out. You don't know where stuff's at. You don't know what's going on with it. You lose track. Like, it's so much to keep track of for maintenance logs, so you have to supplement that. And that's just the way the world's going, right?
Right.
And so we got to be ahead of the times and be technology forward. And that's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. And even our foremans too. You know, all of our dailies are being done directly from their iPads or their phones, clocking in, clocking out, reporting. That not only, I mean, it streamlines a lot of stuff, but also just makes them better. And we're able to communicate a lot more effectively and have just that real life data that we need to make better decisions or pivots off of. So it's been amazing.
And what we found is the more we talk with the day-to-day workers and we do it in the language that they understand. You know, my first time training foreman, I did it in Spanish. Just watching the light bulbs come on, like, I really understand now. They're not trying to piece it together. Man, how quickly we got adoption, and then how quickly we got the right information back. Yeah. I didn't know you wanted X. No problem, sir. I will do that for you starting now. And then even our own proprietary software, Pavement Soft, when we made it and flipped it into Spanish for them, wow. Everything that had been put in English got converted to Spanish. They really understood the job they had to do. There's no go-backs. There's no warranty calls where we had to come fix something that wasn't done. Like, it was really right in the work order.
Yep.
It's just a language barrier.
Yeah.
You know, technology has helped us break that barrier down and get us all working together as one big movable force.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it's amazing the, like, unintended benefits of stuff you might not even think about might be a result of some small implementations that you made that probably don't show up, you know, immediately, but very soon after it makes a longer impact for sure.
Well, I think you see it a lot of times in the happiness of the employees when they're no longer frustrated because I know I did something wrong, but I don't understand why I did it wrong. And now when they're able to see it, okay, I understand now what Zach meant for me to do. I can do it right next time.
Yeah.
And that's all we want.
Yep. Just learn.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't have time, and I really don't want to take time in my day to have to deal with bad communication. Yeah. So everything that we can communicate up front correctly the first time, man, we get so much more done.
Yep.
And we can move that needle so much quicker. And, you know, a lot of our needles are measured in revenue and profit, but I look at a lot of times on the happiness of our employees. When I go around and I see them come off of a long day, 12 hours, and they're smiling, walking back to their trucks, we have done something right.
That's a good thing.
Amen. One hand washes another in this industry.
Yep.
So it's they go hand in hand, you know.
So,
definitely.
You know, we're on a big growth push right now with, you know, finding new companies to bring into the platform. Let's talk about some of the integration pieces, because that's, you know, you get on, you sell the company, and then the work really kind of starts after that. So we learned.
Really? It got a little difficult after we bought you guys? Okay.
I think after you signed the paper, Jerome was there 30 minutes later.
Well, yeah.
Got a whole pack, and here we go. So talk a little bit about integration with companies and, you know, the lift that is. And
you know, I'm fortunate. I call them my tiger team that goes in with me on any integration now. It is probably the most difficult part of the transition from selling your company to being in the Pave America family is that integration period. There's a lot of stuff that comes at them. I'll remind everybody, it's like they've got a 6-inch fire hose and they're trying to drink it all at one time. Mm-hmm. And what that big problem is a lot of times they feel like we're saying you've done everything wrong. No, you've done a lot of great things. We bought your company because of what you've done. Now we want to take you to this next level. And we're so excited to take them there that a lot of times we forget there's 20 of us to 2 of you.
Sure.
And so we've really been focusing on that in our integration process. We now have a team that manages who comes and when. But when you're integrating and you're changing systems, there becomes a lot of frustrations. And I'll use accounting. I've used QuickBooks for 20 years, and now I've got to go to NetSuite.
Yep.
And they've got to learn a whole new software pack where they were very proficient. They could do their job in lightning speed, and now they feel like I slowed down. And that's for a period of time. And we're really trying to get better at sharing with them, you're going to be slower for a month, but then jet fuel is going to kick in.
Yep.
In the same way with the shops, you've been slow for a while. Jet fuel's coming. Hold on.
Yep.
Let's get through the training. And as a gentleman once said, eat your Wheaties because we're going to go really fast.
Yep.
And I think that's the one thing is really sharing that communication. My team now, as we go in, we do all the lift for them. We onboard all their drivers. We do all the paperwork. We file it for them. We bring them to 100% compliance. We now come out and install all the Samsara for them so they don't have to. And by doing that, we give them the lift and they don't have to go through the pains anymore. So I think really our big thing is we've learned from the integration side, there's 20 of us, there's 2 of you. Let's even the playing field.
Yep.
And let's learn to stagger it out. If you have enough people, we'll do more. If you only have a few, we'll do less. The end goal is making them even better than they are and watching them just grow. Because most of the companies we acquire have a growth strategy. We're getting ready to 3 times it. They're like, if we grow 2-3% year over year, maybe 5, really excited. We want 10 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, to do that, I want to eject a bunch of equipment. You need to hire more folks, more salespeople. Everyone's going to grow, but it's a lot. It's overwhelming. And so now we're really starting to manage that expectation a lot better.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to is managing the expectations. And I think for us, integration was difficult. But the way it was staggered, you knew for a period of time you weren't going to cross the finish line because once you got one piece done, then you move to the next, and you move to the next. But I thought it was escalated very fairly, and you guys understood.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Even Brandon Blewett was talking about the last thing we want to do is impact the operations going on in the business, and I think they were very mindful. There were some things where we were like, hey, we're going to need like a little bit more time before we can jump into that. So for me, I thought it was very fair.
Yeah, I think if they go into it knowing that it's going to be a lift, then that's setting themselves up for success in the future. Just because it's really not as bad as it sounds. It's just you gotta understand that there is going to be a good portion of time spent there.
Yep.
And if you're aware of it,
everything's going to get touched. Yep. And I think the one big thing is the communications factor. We've learned very quickly that people will get frustrated. They just came off of a due diligence, and now they've gone straight into integration. And there was no, do I get a vacation?
No vacation.
A moment of reprieve. Yeah, you had it for about 8 hours. Let's go again. Yep. And we've gotten better. Now we have dedicated, I call them quarterbacks, that stay with the presidents through the next 6 to 12 weeks as we go through integration. And their key role is watching the company that's integrating. Are we pushing them too hard? Do we need to pull back? Because we've identified here are the key things that have to happen, and the rest of it we can stagger out.
Yeah.
We got to get the employees paid. Getting them into the payroll system, if we don't do anything else, that's what we've got to do on day one.
Yep. Absolutely.
Great. Because if they get a paycheck, every employee stays happy.
Yep.
From there, we start moving into the other necessities.
Yeah. And that's, and what you talked about exactly is the employee first mindset. And I think that's what private equity does to, I guess, the perception of private equity in the industry scares a lot of people, scares a lot of employees away that, hey, they're going to come in and they're just going to cut all of us and, we're all going to lose our jobs. We're going to have broken down old equipment, which there are some private equity companies that have done that. There's good and bad in everything. But that's the opposite for Pave America and what they're trying to push. So, the 10 to 15% growth, the only way to do that is invest more into our team, our companies, our subsidiaries, And that's the only way we're going to grow.
Yeah, we found it that as we've installed our new platforms, Limble, Samsar, we're starting to find equipment that's been underutilized. We found a milling machine that had only been used 100 hours in a year. And another group needed a milling machine. Wonderful. Here you go.
Yeah.
Now they're using it 800 hours a year. Wonderful. We didn't invest any more money, but we were able to find those things. Or we're able to go and look in and say to groups, holy cow, you're doing that. All of your equipment's at 110% max. We need it. There is no more for you to give me.
Yep.
We can't expect 10 or 12% growth. We're going to have to inject equipment. And so I think using the technology platforms we have, we're able to manage our own expectations from a leadership team and with our equity partners saying the machine's at 100%. We want to do more. Here's what it's going to cost.
Yep.
And I think that's been, with our current equity partners, they are really, let's look at the data. What's the data telling us? And they're very receptive to us telling them, the environment does affect us. To do this, it's going to require X. And we enjoy that working relationship we have with them.
Good.
Yep.
Well, I think this has been fantastic, and we really appreciate you flying all the way across the country over to here.
Love being out here.
Yeah, man.
I know you do. It's been too long since you've been out here, so.
Well, if there were invitations, I may come more frequently.
We try to
people who want me, I tend to visit.
We'll do a better job of inviting along the way for the fun
I think I was
stuff
here.
too,
Was I here at Christmas?
last
year?
Yeah, it was something like that.
We had a big party in the shop.
Well, the kickoff. So it was a couple months after that. But,
yeah. I was here for the summer festival and watching you get dunked.
Yep. You
Yes.
got dunked. I got dunked.
Yeah.
I did not get dunked.
No.
I didn't realize how good arms our teams have because they got us quite a bit.
There was a compliance concern there with the balls being thrown, but, I think we were in the gray area.
We had a little metal cage that had some bars.
Yeah,
we maybe could have flew through them.
We were in the gray area, no pun intended. I think we did well.
Yeah, we made it.
Yes, we did.
Well, Jerome, thank you so much for coming out. Appreciate you having on the podcast. Happy National Safety Awareness Month to everybody. Wear your PPE, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Awesome.